Joining us this morning, Titania Jordan.
Tatiana Jordan. Did I get the name right? Jordan?
Titania.
Titania. Okay.
Titania. All right. It's Titania Jordan.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I am here with Kevin Greiner, the CEO of Gas South. So it's like amazing day today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the show.
Well, you're kind of a big deal, and so thank you for your time.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. We'll see.
I want to get right into some amazing stats. Between 2006 and 2016, Gas South went from 50 to over 200 employees, 160,000 customers to 300,000 customers, 12.5% of the market share to 20% of market share, and $2.7 million in earnings to $15.8 million plus. And that was last year. We're halfway through 2017. So, I mean, wow. What do you attribute to those successes over the past decade plus?
Well, it's our team, and I know that always sounds like a pithy thing, but at the end of the day, it's really the people that you have at the company that make it all happen. And so we really focus every day coming in, trying to grow our business, trying to serve our customers better. And at the end of the day, we measure our success on customers choosing us as their gas provider. We compete in markets where customers have a choice of a gas provider. So we're different from a utility in that standpoint. We do sell a utility product, natural gas, but we're competing. So we have to give customers more reasons to choose us and stay with us than the competition. And ultimately, that's what we've done over the last 10 years. And we're real proud of that, real proud of the team that we built to make that happen day in and day out.
You do, as both an individual and a company, so many innovative things. You really find avenues for growth and scale and pouring back into the community where others don't. And I think that's what helps you stand out. I know that's what helps you stand out. One thing that I really want to talk about right now is your insourcing of customer service. Huge. Talk about that.
Yeah, so in 2012, we had an overall restructuring of our parent company, which is Cobb EMC, Cobb Electric Membership Corporation. And at that point, we had an opportunity to decide what sorts of things did we want to do ourselves in our business and what sorts of things might we want to outsource. And so the opportunity to manage our own customer care came available to us. And we had two choices. We could either say, well, we're going to hire people who are going to serve as the voice in the ears of our company, speaking with customers day in and day out, or like a lot of companies, we could have chosen to outsource it and said, well, let's leave that in the hands of somebody who will manage it as a kind of service business, and we would be the client. And for us, the choice was obvious. We said, we need to connect with our customers in meaningful ways. And you can't do that if you're doing it through a contractor who is hiring people and they don't really feel vested in the success of the company. So I think when you call Gas South or when you interact with us in any way, whether it's on phone, in person, via chat, online, various digital means, you see a difference because we're a company that hates to lose. We want to win day in and day out. We want to serve the customer. And our people really feel it. And I think our customers then feel that passion that we have to try to earn and keep their business for the long term. And that's really what we're all about. We're not one of these Johnny-come-lately kind of like, bring you in for a really crazy promotional rate and then jack up your rate after a year. We always feel like we want to provide great value day in and day out, year in and year out for customers. And so that's really how we operate our business, and I think our customers really appreciate that.
Well, I think they absolutely do, because the perception is so key with that first impression, right? If you know that you're speaking to a real live human that works at Gas South and is invested in the success of both your relationship with the company and the company, you really can't lose. So yeah. Huge. I wanted to then talk about Gas South is a well-recognized community energy provider. Expand on the community aspect of that.
Sure. So we've always been a purpose-driven organization, and in the last couple of years, we've really honed that message internally and talked about a lot with our employees. We had a lot of great sessions kind of talking about, who we are as a company, our ethos, where we've come from, where we want to be. We have concepts known as the Gas South Way, which are those key principles that we have on exactly the Gas South Way.
That, like, underline the Gas South Way. Yeah.
And the Gas South Way is really about, who we are as a company. So we're committed to an amazing customer experience. We create win-win relationships. We challenge the status quo, and we create a high-performance culture where everybody has the opportunity to excel and thrive. And those are things that we talk about a lot with our employees. And then this year, we said, we really need a purpose statement to kind of distill it all down. And after much conversations within our company with different partners that we work with, we landed on being a fuel for good. That is the purpose for Gas South.
That's catchy.
Yeah.
As a copy geek, love it.
Yeah, and it's an invitation, Titania, to our customers, to our business partners, to join us in that journey. So we do give back a lot to the community. We have a goal by 2020 to be investing $1 million a year back into the communities that we serve through dollars, through volunteer hours, through serving on boards of nonprofit organizations, because we really want to be embedded in the community. And when you're selling a commodity, you need to decommoditize yourself. We can't get away from the fact that natural gas is a commodity, and whether you choose us or any one of our competitors, it's going to be the same product coming out into your home and that you're using for heat, for cooking, for hot water, and all of those things. But you can decommoditize the experience that the customer has. And an important aspect of that is certainly your community engagement, what kind of outreach you're doing in both the physical and the virtual world, so that customers kind of realize what type of company you are, kind of how you roll as an organization. And that's really important to us. We work really hard at that, and we see that as a key differentiator for us.
Huge. I want to go back and reemphasize those core principles, those 4 core principles, because I want to pop them up, text right here as you're watching. So let's go over those again. One is?
So we're committed to an amazing customer experience. So we want our customers to have an exceptional experience with us every time they interact with us.
So important.
Yeah, so whether that's calling us, whether it's your digital experience, so experiencing our online applications for managing your account, whether it's experiencing us out in the community as a team, and the great enthusiasm and commitment that you see from the Gas South team out there in the community, whether we're at a festival or whether we're volunteering out in the community. Those are all things that we want to really create that amazing customer experience every time.
Okay, so that's one, and then what was
so? And then secondly, we create win-win relationships.
Win-win relationships.
So we built our business on connecting with people. Connecting with organizations that we can help to grow their business and they can help to grow ours. So a great example of that would be some of the partnerships that we have with electric utilities, where they're providing electric service and we partner with them to provide the gas service. And the customers receive a discount, they receive initiation fee waivers, so on the front end. So there's real value for their customers, and there's also the convenience aspect. Another example would be all the great win-win relationships that we have with nonprofit organizations, where we're working with them to improve their outreach, improve their operations. We're financially supporting them, and they in turn also help us out in acquiring customers, creating a nice reputation, if you will, for Gas South. It's always great to have others saying nice things about you rather than constantly having to do it yourself as a brand. So win-win relationships has always been a really, really important thing. And every deal that we put together, we try to figure out a way where we can help that channel partner, we can help that customer just like they can help us.
This is, we are basically recording the case study for an MBA course. This is really good stuff. Customer service, win-win relationships. What's number 3 again?
So third, we challenge the status quo.
Yes, that's one of my favorites.
We're a company that hates to lose. We come in every day trying to figure out, hey, how can we earn our customers' trust in a more fundamental, deep way? And so that is a part of what we do. When we look at how we did things 10 years ago, 5 years ago, we very quickly we pivot off of that and we say, well, just because we've done it one way since 10 years doesn't mean that we have to continue to do that. So we're not afraid of restructuring our operations.
Yep.
We're not afraid of making fundamental changes in some of our business strategies, in our advertising platforms, in how we go about managing our data internally. So all of those things are things that we're constantly thinking, how do we deploy technology, processes, people more effectively to do better work in our business and out in the community.
Awesome. You're breaking glass. I love it. All right, number 4.
So number 4, we create a high-performance culture. And this is one that I think is foundational for everything we do, because if you don't have the right people motivated to do the right things, all of the other goals that we have in the Gas South Way, all of those other principles really can't happen. So I'm very passionate about creating opportunities for our team members. One of the great things about insourcing customer care was that we were now going to be responsible for a very different type of team member than we had in the past. You know, it's more of a hourly workforce. It's a lot of folks that are very early in their careers, you know, so it was like, you know, people that are actually working on their college degrees or are planning on going back to school, as well as career customer service professionals. So it really rounded out our workforce. And what it did was it created a bench for us, where we had a lot of people now who could move into different roles at the company over time, because our customer care area is really kind of like the equivalent of our shop floor. We don't have a shop floor like a Home Depot does.
Right.
But if you think about like our business, it's analogous to that. The customer care center is where the rubber meets the road, where you learn the business, where you really understand the voice of the customer. And having all of that together has allowed us to really create a culture where we're trying to create great opportunity for everybody in the organization. And one of the things that I'm proud of at Gas South is we have a bonus program that covers everyone in the company.
Wow.
And so customer care representatives, folks who will tell you, I've never earned incentive pay anywhere that I've worked, they earn it now for a job well done. And I think that's important, because I think you've got to, you know, recognize people. It's not just money, it's also recognition programs and training and development and the opportunity to take on different roles and responsibilities, be promoted into different jobs at Gas South. But you know, that financial recognition needs to be there. And so we've really been able to point our team in the right direction through all of those means, you know, training opportunity and the incentives to be the best that we can be.
It's huge. You know, it's like you have your own incubator within Gas South, and it's the customer service professionals, and they really are your first line of defense. They're the first interaction that your core KPI has with your company. And that's, I love what you are doing there. That's huge. I also love the fact that you set a $15 minimum wage.
Yes, we did. So $15 minimum wage was a decision that we made last year. We decided that for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted to acquire the very best customer care professionals, and that's the majority of the folks that are covered by the $15 minimum wage. But also, I think it sent a signal that that position, that work, is really, really important to us. And most companies don't pay $15 an hour for customer care jobs. You know, you could argue that, well, that's kind of above market, that's more than what most pay. But the reality, Titania, has been that we've actually saved money by increasing wages because we have lower attrition.
Yep.
We get better quality staff right up front. The folks that we are able to attract at that type of wage are great closers on the phone. So, you know, from an acquisition standpoint, they do a great job. They do a better job of retaining customers when they call with another offer from a competitor and are asking about what we can do to keep their business and everything. So all of those things, all those extra sources of value are there in addition to just financial security. You know, you don't want to have your staff coming in and day out and worrying about, you know, how am I going to make ends meet tomorrow?
No.
And organizations, I think, underestimate, underappreciate the impacts of that on their business.
Yeah.
And so, you know, allowing folks to feel a little more financially secure, and then of course also knowing that I have other opportunities at the company to grow into. So
Right.
It's not going to be $15 and that's it going forward.
Right.
You're going to have that opportunity to be promoted, to get into different roles. That, I think, is fundamentally a difference at Gas South that keeps our team happy, engaged, motivated, focused on the right things.
It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. You're just nailing it, man. This is good stuff. I also love the ways that you find to serve the underserved. This quote, I love this quote. I want to print out, put it on my wall. No business should be satisfied with turning down customers who want to become your customer.
Yeah, and you know, we did that like a lot of companies for a number of years because, look, serving credit challenged customers in a business where you're in essence extending credit to them is challenging.
Yeah.
So you've got to figure out a way to do it, and we also knew that we wanted to do it in a way that was fair and reasonable to customers as well. So we designed a program called Pay As You Go, and it was the first program in Georgia, and really one of the first in the utility industry overall, where we estimate the amount of gas that a customer will use, and then we bill them in advance for that expectation. And then every month after that, we true up. So if you used a little more, you're going to have a little bit more on your next bill as far as charges. If you use less, you're actually going to get a little bit of a credit on your next bill that will go towards helping you to pay the next 30 days worth of charges. By doing that, we were able to really open up our ability to serve folks who have experienced credit challenges profitably. You know, it had to be sustainable. You know, you've got to do things in business that, you know, you're actually going to be able to earn some money.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're here to do at the end of the day, right? As a business. So Pay As You Go has been something that we rolled it out in 2008. It's been very successful. It's still a small minority of our customers receive service under that particular rate plan. Most of our customers receive service on other plans. But it's one that really opened up options, choice, competition for folks who oftentimes don't have it. You know, and that's one of the, you know, cruel ironies of the capitalist system, which is still the best system in the world for anything. But at the end of the day, you know, folks that struggle tend to pay more for services, and we were trying and have fewer choices. And we were trying to figure out, can we change that paradigm and try to create a way to really open up competition to folks that typically don't have a lot of it, and that was important to us.
Every single, you know, data point that we've touched on today comes back to this theme of innovation, which is very near and dear to my heart. Let's talk about the 2020 vision.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, we celebrated our 10th anniversary as a company. We were founded in 2006. So yeah, so it was awesome. But it was great to look back and kind of, you know, celebrate some of the things that we were able to achieve in our first decade. But it also caused us to look forward and say, well, you know, what kind of company do we want to be 5 years from now? So Vision 2020 was a program, really, a vision to set up what are our big goals, what are those big hairy things that we want to try to accomplish. And we went big on it. You know, we said, you know, if these are goals that we can easily achieve, they're really not Vision 2020 appropriate. Like Vision 2020 has to be things where, you know, we're really aspiring to be a really incredible organization. So 5 things that we set up. The first is to be the #1 gas provider in the competitive markets of the Southeast. So we only participate in markets where customers have a choice, as I mentioned. So we want to, in any of those markets, whether it be here in Georgia, in Florida for commercial and industrial customers, in the Carolinas for really large commercial industrial type customers, we want to be that provider of choice. And we want to be the largest because we feel like if customers are choosing us, if they're making that choice that I want to be served by Gas South, we also feel like we'll be the best.
Right.
So being that #1 gas provider is the first goal for Vision 2020.
Big player in small market, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
The second goal for us is to offer the #1 customer experience in our industry. So we are really laser focused on that right now, trying to figure out what are the people, processes, technologies that we need to have to get there, because customers experience you in a lot of different ways. Some have their primary experience when they call you. Others, it's about the online tools that you provide them. For others, it's, you know, is it easy to pay my bill off of my phone? For others, it's important that we're communicating with them proactively about the status of their account and whether, you know, they forgot to pay a bill and that kind of thing. So constantly anticipating the customer's needs and then really exceeding their expectations is all part of being or providing a #1 customer experience. And then a third goal is to be a #1 place to work in Atlanta. So we participate in a number of different surveys, and we measure that, we benchmark that off of a survey that the AJC does each year. And so right now we're number 30 among mid-sized companies, but we want to continue to rise in those rankings over the next couple of years and be really recognized as a #1 place to work.
I have no doubt you will. You will get there.
We're working on it. It's hard. There are a lot of great companies here in Atlanta.
I love Atlanta.
And competing for talent is tough. So we need to continue to be recognized and have our employees telling us that, yeah, Gas South is a great place to build a career. And then we had 2 financial goals in Vision 2020. The first is to earn $100 million of net income cumulatively over a 5-year period from 2016 through 2020. And then the last goal is to provide $1 million of annual community support. So, one is about profit and financial success, and the other is about really giving back. And we feel like both are important goals to set for ourselves as a company and to communicate to our team members, to the world really about what we're about at Gas South.
Well, you truly make an impact in the communities you serve, both your internal corporate culture community and the ones around you, whether it's Atlanta, Florida, the Carolinas, etc. So we have gotten through, I think, a lot of goodness covering Gas South, both its past and its future, and it's awesome. But there are a lot of people out there watching who want to know more about you and how you got to be the CEO of this amazing company.
Yep.
So touch on that.
So dumb luck, maybe? I mean, you really do have to be in the right place at the right time for different opportunities. So my career took me to, after business school, I went to work for a little company called Enron, which was one of the greatest meltdowns in corporate history. So I joined them out of business school. I worked in Houston. I went to Germany for a couple of years, came back to Houston, had a great ride there, 3.5 years, but then suddenly the company was gone, poof. It was an incredibly fast meltdown. And the company went bankrupt. Virtually the entire staff was laid off. And we had to find something else to do. So my wife and I, we were in Houston. We were in temporary housing because we just moved back from Europe. We had a 2-year-old. And it was time to find something else. And that took us to Atlanta. I got a job with Southern Company, worked in a couple of their divisions, most recently one that was called Southern Company Gas, which Southern Company at that time, back in 2006, decided to sell. And I was director of marketing there, and the CEO of that business was going to stay at Southern Company, so the buyer, Cobb EMC, said, hey, we need somebody to run this company, and we think you're the guy for it. And I kind of looked around like, are you serious? 'Cause I was 37 at the time. I didn't have any experience running a company, but fortunately I had some really seasoned executives who came over with me. So our CFO was 20 years older than me. She had way more experience. She really knew how to run a company. Our VP of Supply and Risk Management was also about 20 years older, and then a lot of other great staff who continue to be with us. And so we kind of made it a team effort. We said, well, this is going to be fun, this is going to be interesting. None of us have really done this before, but we were confident enough that with the team that we had and the focus that we felt we could bring to the company, that we could make it happen. And so that's kind of how it took off for us. So, and 12 years later, I'm still there. Almost everybody on our senior leadership team is still part of Gas South. We've had a couple of retirements. The folks that I mentioned who came over from our senior executives, they've retired, but they had deputies that kind of stepped right up into the roles who had also been with us for the full ride. So it's been nice. It's been a remarkably intact and stable and high-performing management team. We have added some talent from time to time, which is great. You don't want to just have the same organization sitting pat. So we have brought a lot of new folks in to help to lead our company, and they've done a great job and really mixed in with with us old veterans, and it's been a good mix.
I love it. It's a great story. As someone who's very innovative and engaged in the community, where do you turn to stay tuned in to being forward-looking.
Yeah. You know, one of the things, Titania, that I find to be one of the best ways of getting perspectives is serving on nonprofit boards. I serve on a lot of them, and I get, it's good to do for the community. These are great organizations. So organizations like the United Way, the YMCA, the Atlanta Opera, the Georgia Partnership for Excellence in Education. Those are some of the board memberships that I have right now, you know, kind of steering, guiding those organizations. And they're great groups to work with, but also for me, I take a lot of learnings out of it, you know, because I see how other organizations and other executives are thinking about business problems, organizational issues, whatever it might be, and helping to, you know, look and take some of those ideas back to Gas South has been a really great way to stay, you know, plugged in, to not be too insular, to not just, you know, have our organization's kind of purview and that's it, to be able to expand that, see how other organizations are run, take good ideas from those, and also recognize things that, you know, we have to make sure that we don't do the things that don't work, you know, that you see with other organizations. So that's one of the things that I enjoy doing. I try to, you know, constantly, you know, challenge myself too to become a better tennis player, try to get to be a better musician, you know, some of the outside sorts of things that I enjoy.
Yes.
So, you know, I don't get myself too tied up into work and work only. And then one of the great advantages of my position, and because we are such a local company and we have so many local customers, is I get to connect with lots of people here in Georgia, in particular, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I got to know one another through Atlanta Eats, which is, you know, a show that we sponsor, and you know, suddenly we're realizing, oh gosh, we have that in common, and here I am on your show.
I know, so many connections, and the BB&T Open, so much fun.
Yeah.
And you kind of reinvigorated my love for tennis, so thank you for that. I'm so excited to get back on the court and perfect my skills.
Excellent. Well, I was trying to be a fuel for good for you.
Yeah,
so.
well, it will, it will. I like to ask people in your position either the best advice, best business advice you received, or life advice, or maybe even worse. Like sometimes you get some stuff that's so bad that you're like, you need to hear this so that you don't do this. So any sort of gems that you want to share with people out there watching, you know?
Yeah, you know, I'm going back to my Enron days. I'll always remember one of my mentors there, a really good friend of mine. He said to me, and this was well before the company went bankrupt, this is when Enron was high flying, and he said, you know, Kevin, you know what one of the biggest problems with Enron is? And I said, no, Christopher, what is that? And he said, you've never seen anybody get rewarded for killing a bad deal. Enron was all about getting the deal done at any cost, no matter what, and not being disciplined enough to walk away from the things that really don't make sense.
Wow.
And that would put the company at risk. And so, you know, I learned a lot of great things at Enron and ways to do business, but I also learned a lot of things about how not to do business.
Yes.
And that stuff is really, really important too. If you're just focused on, oh, you know, that really was a great thing that happened here, and I'm going to take that. You've also got to watch in any organization for the things that you will take away and say, you know, if I'm ever in that position, I won't run things this way. I won't manage this way. I will not lead that way. And so I feel like that was one of the things, and I think back to that on a regular basis. And then, of course, when you realize what happened to Enron, it was really prescient. You know, what he was saying was, you know, this company doesn't know when to say no.
Yeah, too big for their britches.
Yeah, you got to know when you say, you know what, that may sound good, it may look good in a, you know, in a headline, in a press release, but we all know this is not good for business and we shouldn't do it. Or it's not good for our culture and we shouldn't do it.
Yes.
So I really try to, you know, be mindful of those lessons, and because you know we're an energy company too, and if we take risks that don't make sense for our business, if we have relationships with our customers that are very short-term focused, you know, at the end of the day, our business is not going to thrive then. So we always try to take that really long view. We try to do things the right way every time, and that's something that, you know, I come in and day out trying to, you know, make sure that we as an organization stay on that path.
I read on LinkedIn about kind of that aspect of your business while you're not super acquisition happy, right? You kind of stand back and pause and think, is this really good for business? Is this good for our culture? So if you are not already following Kevin on LinkedIn, you should. The articles that he has out there,
thank you,
like really, really good reading for people across all industries and verticals on culture and mission and vision, and it's really good stuff. So thank you for putting it out there, and everybody follow him. We'll put that link below in the description. So as we conclude, obviously you're in a position where you give back to a lot of people. You help the community in so many ways, more than we can possibly outline here in our time together. But what can we as a community, both Atlanta, the state of Georgia, the Southeast, and then honestly globally, because this is YouTube. So how can we as a global community help you? What can we help you with? What can we support Kevin Greiner with right now?
Well, you know, I'll go back to our purpose statement, be a fuel for good, you know, and that's an invitation. You know, it's not us saying that we're a fuel for good, it's really be a fuel for good, join us in that journey. And so get involved with organizations that you're passionate about, whether it's you know, your kids' Little League team or your local theater group. I think it's incumbent upon all of us to make wherever we live, Atlanta, wherever you happen to be, the best town, the best city that it can possibly be. And I think that that's something that we try to strive for as a company at Gas South, but it's really about the individuals and what we do out in the community and how we connect with people. And I just would, you know, invite everyone, you know, join us on that journey, see what we're doing out in the community. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, as you mentioned. Gas South is a very active place, and we're celebrating on a regular basis the things that we're trying to do to make Atlanta and the other communities that we serve the best places to live, work, and play. So come on out, connect with us, you know, say hello, get involved in some of the things that we're doing out in the community, volunteer with us in different initiatives that we're doing, and I think we'll make Atlanta a better place together.
Awesome. So yeah, go out there and be a fuel for good. Kevin Greiner, CEO of Gas South, thank you so much.
Thanks, Titania.
It's been a pleasure.
Love being here. Thank you.